I thought I'd take a few minutes and kind of go over the different varieties of tomatoes I planted this year. I ended up planting a total of 5 different varieties, and let's go over which ones I liked and which ones I didn't like. So I actually ended up planting 4 different varieties of what I thought was slicing tomatoes. I wanted to grow some different varieties, figure out which ones we liked, and which ones we want to grow each year. So I want to kind of get it down to about 2 varieties that I plant each year for a slicing tomato. So the first one here is a Better Boy, and these make baseball size tomatoes. They look very good looking tomatoes, and the plants were fairly tall. They were all the way out of the 5-foot tomato cages, so that was a good healthy plant. I do like this one, and I would replant this Better Boy. These were a delicious tomato, and I thought these were going to be a lot smaller than they were. So some of these are they're big. They end up cracking around the top. This is probably one of the best looking ones that I have right here. They do get some really weird shapes too. Like here's one. It's kind of a weird oblong shape. So these here, this is what they call a Best Boy tomato, and these are pretty close to baseball size tomatoes also. This one here definitely is, and these have really good looking tomatoes as well, but the plants just weren't quite as vigorous or quite as tall as the Better Boy. So this one I would replant again. I do like these tomatoes. I thought these turned out fairly good. So this is a contender that I might plant again next year. And this one here, this is an Early Girl. So a lot of people like Early Girl tomatoes. I think they start putting tomatoes on just a little bit earlier than the other tomato plants. But you can see these are smaller than the rest of the tomatoes. They're nice, pretty, tomatoes, but they just don't have quite the size that I'm looking for. I really want like a baseball size tomato. So my dad plants these every year, and he likes them, and maybe his get bigger than mine do, but mine pretty much all turned out about this size. They were the smallest slicing tomato that I grew this year. So I think the Early Girls, they're a decent tomato if you like a nice small tomato. These are perfect actually for my wife, because this is about perfect for one salad. She can just slice this up, throw it in a salad, and it works out pretty good. But I don't know if I'm going to plant this one again, just because of the size is just a little bit smaller than I wanted. So this one here is the paste tomato that I planted this year. This is just like a Roma tomato, or Roma VF, I think. It's a heirloom tomato, and if you can see, it's fairly small. I've grown these, and I mean, I've been able to grow these before. I just never was impressed with the size of them. I'd like to get a paste tomato that has decent size, so that I don't need, like when you have them this small, I need about 50 of them to be able to really do anything. So definitely want to find, next year I'm going to try to grow a larger paste tomato. I'm thinking about trying the Amish paste tomato, see how those do. But if you got any suggestions on what type of paste tomato that has a decent size and ripens well, I'd take any suggestions. So I'm looking for a larger paste tomato to grow next year. So I think I actually have, it's 17 tomato plants planted. So I've got plenty of tomatoes for me to be able to work with. In fact, I have more tomatoes than I can keep up with. So I can only process tomatoes on the weekends when I'm off work. That's about the only time I have time to do anything. And I just might have tomatoes going bad before I can even get to them. So I've got more tomatoes than I can deal with, really, with 17 plants. So I'd like to just get a couple varieties that I like. Hopefully I won't have to plant as many plants next year. So I believe I'm going to go ahead, I'll replant the Better Boys. I would replant these Best Boys also. But I think my top pick would be the Better Boy right now. These are a delicious tomato, and they're more of a beefsteak tomato. So if you're looking for like a beefsteak style tomato, I think this would work out good for you, but that's not what I'm looking for. So so I think I've found at least 2 varieties that I could possibly grow again next year. Still looking for maybe something a little more consistent on nice, perfect baseball-sized tomatoes. So got any suggestions on slicing tomatoes, let me know. I really need a good big paste tomato to grow, because they're just, paste tomatoes are a lot easier just to make salsa out of instead of trying to cut up these slicing tomatoes. So I'd really like to find a good paste tomato to be able to use for canning. So this is my tomato varieties this year. I'd really like to see what kind of luck you guys have had with different tomato varieties. So if you have a certain variety that you grow and that you're happy with, go ahead and post that in the comments below. I'd like to really see what you guys are having success with. Thanks for watching. They did pretty good. The plants were fairly tall. Maggie, no. Maggie! I'm gonna throw a tomato at you. Too bad I gave all the rotten ones to the chickens. You get out of here. Get. You knock it off. No. Yeah, be nice to each other. Literally plant each year. My dog's hacking something up. Knock it off. Man, you guys are, this is like unruly. Seriously. Hey, knock it off. Knock it off. All you guys. You guys are killing me. 5-gallon bucket. This whole table was full. I just took a 5-gallon bucket. That's my dog and cat. They don't get along real well, the little dog. What was I saying? So, hey, get out of there! Get out of there! No! What are you trying to do? Trying to eat my freaking peppers? That's a negative. Or is that a moth you got? These cats and dogs drive me nuts.